So I'm going to show you how to deploy the Intelligent Hub agent along with its Microsoft Transform file. If you haven't watched my video on how to create a transform file, I would suggest you do this before continuing with this video. So we need to go into Computers or Server Manager, the Tools menu, Group Policy Management, so I'm going to create a GPO. I'm going to call it UEM2. So in order for the users to see what's going on the device, we were going to turn on some more verbose information, so when they're logging in they can see what's going on, and that is done using this display hide detailed status messages option. So just click enabled, then when the user logged in they'll see a message saying that the agent's being installed. So we're going to deploy the software under user configuration. The computer configuration doesn't allow some of the options that we require. So it's very important that we install our MSI and transform file from a network location so the workstations can see it. So we're going to select advanced because that allows us to add the transform file. So under deployment we're going to change to assigned, install the application, login and basic user interface options. Then on modifications we select our MST file. And that's all there is to it. Now when the user logs on to their Windows 10 device, they'll get a message saying that the Workspace ONE UEM Hub, Intelligent Hub is being installed. After they finish logging in, silently in the background, it will complete the enrollment to their console. The only leftover item is the shortcut which gets created on the user's desktop to do the enrollment. Now as the enrollment's already done, this desktop shortcut is redundant, so we need to remove it. This is very simple using provisioning. So under devices, provisioning, components, files and actions, we can create a new one called delete desktop shortcut. So I'll just show you the one I've created here. So on the manifest, I've literally created an action which is delete files, and I put a path to that enrollment link. Now note the variable of username, so we don't know who's logged into the device, so we just put username and delete that off the desktop of the device, and then we deploy that to whichever devices we want it to using a smart group on the product list view. Okay, so now I'm going to log into my Windows 10 client with a standard end user with no admin rights. You see it's installing the Intelligent Hub there. So now in the background it's enrolling into our UEM console. You can see the AirWatch enrollment shortcut which I talked about earlier there on the desktop. We should see that disappear after a short period of time. If the user was to double click that shortcut, they'd be prompted to input some elevated user information such as a local account, admin account. So they can't do anything even if it is there. So while we're waiting for that to happen, let me just show you some really useful tips for troubleshooting. So if it isn't applying, if the group policy isn't applying, we can see what group policies are applying by typing GP result /R. So there's our policy I created in the Active Directory called UEM2. If it's incorrect or it's wrong, we can do a GP update, which will force it. We go, our icons just disappeared off the desktop. We do a GP update, and that will get all the latest policies from Active Directory and apply them to the machine. My machine's a little bit slow because I'm running VMs here, so I'd expect everything to be twice as quick than what you're seeing in this video. And a final test to see if everything's applied. If you go in the control panel, we want to use the traditional add remove programs. The modern one doesn't have this ability, so go to programs and features. Then here we've got install a program for the network. We'll also see it there. So we flip over to the console, we can see our enrolled device as user 1. It will briefly show as a staging user, and then it will flip it over to the Active Directory user. But as I mentioned earlier, it must be integrated with your Active Directory for the device to be able to link to your Active Directory user. A quick look at the device, we can see it's all enrolled and everything's good. Thanks for watching.